Welcome to the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast, a presentation of Rio Country 92.1 Hank FM. Live from Blue Rays in New Orleans and Hudson Oaks, the Aledo Bearcats Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Highly Mazda of Fort Worth. And now, here's the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist.
Hello and welcome and belated Happy New Year to you all for 2025. I'm Kevin Lonnquist here at Blue Rays of New Orleans in Hudson Oaks as we begin the winter and spring sessions of the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. A reminder that Blue Rays of New Orleans has other locations in Crowley and Lake Worth. As always, we are brought to you by our presenting sponsors, H5 Sports Barn and Highly Mazda of Fort Worth. Well, the basketball season, of course, well underway. Both the Bearcats and the Lady Cats are in the middle of District 5-5A play. Both are battling for the district championships. At this point, the boys are 21-4 overall. That is believed to be a season best record in school history in terms of wins in a season at 21. They're also 5-0 in District 5-5A. They are tied for the district lead with Brewer. Lady Cats are 16-10 and 5-1 in 5-5A. Second place behind Brewer, but we have a dandy of a doubleheader on Tuesday night over at Aledo when the Bearcats and Lady Cats, take on the Brewer Bears and Lady Bears. The Lady Cats will get going around 6:30. The boys will follow around 8 o'clock. And the boys are in a battle for sole possession of first place. The Lady Cats need to win on Tuesday in order to force a tie for first place, and then both teams have a bye on Friday. Our first segment, first we will be joined by boys head coach Brian Blackburn and girls coach Donny. Our second segment, we will be joined by a pair of players from the boys team. That is junior guard Kaiden Clayborn and junior post Towns Van Huysen. First segment, as we had talked to coaches here, first of all, congratulations on the starts that you all have had. And, the last time I talked to both of you, because, Donny, you decided to take off for your birthday when we started this back up in December. But anyway, of course, we're never going to let you live that down, so just be a prize of that. But seriously, the fact that you guys now are, roughly 2.5 months into your first years running these programs, anything that has it's gone about as well as you all would have wanted to in terms of just wanting to try and win, except for winning every game, which is hard to do anyway. But, we'll start off with you, Donny, as far as just what you've learned in this first season running this program here at Aledo, and what surprised you, what's gone maybe different than what you thought.
I'm really excited about it, and for multiple levels. Number one, I just feel like I can see the growth and interest in our younger kids. Brian and I did a coaching clinic yesterday with the Lions Club, and we had just a great turnout with the youth in our second grade through sixth grade. I think there's a lot of interest. Our junior highs, we've got great numbers. We've got all the teams filled. Our freshman team's undefeated right now in district play. Our JV is undefeated in district play as well, and we actually start 3 freshmen on the JV team. We have 4 on the JV team, but we start 3. With our varsity, we play with a lot of young kids, and we got some good seniors around them. But I'm just really excited about seeing the growth in that area, and just seeing that I feel like it's coming still. So very excited about that. Surprisingly, I was a little surprised at how hard the district was from what I was told when I signed up for the job. When I signed up for the job, I heard about Brewer, but you've got some Chisholm Trail, you got Fossil Ridge, you got Granbury. The girls' side's been real tough. We beat Chisholm Trail by 3, beat Fossil Ridge by 3, beat Granbury by 5. So our wins in district play are they're hard fought. We got to scrap to get a win. So I think that's just been a little surprising. Just to see the equity across the district, at least with the first 5, for sure. The first 5 are real tough.
Sure, and then what about you, Brian?
Well, I think the first thing that's been surprising is just how quickly the guys adapted. There wasn't much of a hangover in regards to what's been done in the past and what we're trying to do now. And so there was a lot of immediate buy-in, and for our sake, this season it's carried over to some wins.
Sure.
And so I think that just helps with the buy-in. When the guys say, "Hey, we're going to play a certain way, we're going to try to do certain things," and then they work, and then it allows them to maybe trust me a little bit more. And then I get to watch them every day in practice and in games, and that builds trust as well. And so I just think the immediacy of our, what most would call success, I think that's been kind of the most surprising thing and kind of the most fun part about it so far. And I tell the guys almost every day, like, we haven't peaked yet. And so we're still trying to get better. And so that's kind of the fun part for us as coaches, I think, is this time of year. Like, we're usually not putting in a bunch of new stuff. A lot of what we're doing right now is just, figuring out a way for us to just get a little bit better each day so that we're peaking at the right time. And so that's kind of what I'm excited for over the next, 2.5, 3 weeks, is kind of get what can we do to get to our best? And if we can continue to peak, and then, I think the sky's the limit for our team.
You bring up a great point, and Donny, I'll go back to you playing off of what Brian said about how do you know when your team is peaking? Because like most basketball coaches, and I'll kind of use the NCAA comparison, where most college basketball coaches like to have their teams playing at a certain level mid to late February into March when they get to the tournament. And on the basketball side of things, it's probably about a month earlier, where you want to start seeing this toward the end of January and then the first weeks of February, because your season will end, Donnie, first week of February. Brian, yours will end, regular season-wise, will end the second week. So what are the things that you want to see that indicate to you that you are peaking? You can answer that first.
What we do about this time of the year now that we're turning the corner from the second half of district is we start watching a lot of us and not a lot of the opponents. In the first half of district, we tend to watch a lot of film on the district opponent to get familiar with their personnel and what we have to do to be effective against what they do. But now this time, or right around this time of the year, in the second half, we're watching a lot of film on us and what we have to fine tune to get better so that we can, like Brian alluded to, so that we can hit that peak time right towards the end of the district and moving into the playoffs. And so I think it's coaches want everything all at once. They want it right at the beginning. They want to have that immediate success right at the beginning, and you almost I like the gradual grind. I like the process of it all to see how it unfolds. And I feel like if your team collectively can get better throughout the year, then it's a testament to what you're doing and how you structure your program, for sure.
Brian?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that we kind of think about a little bit, is like, your team is only as good as you are after you're being scouted. And so as the season goes on, you're being scouted more. And so there's an emphasis on, practice is probably going to be a little bit shorter. We're still going to have the same intensity.
Right.
And then we're going to work a little bit more with individual player improvement, because sometimes that gets put to the back burner if you're in the middle of a season and you're just, it's a lot of team and team development and team plays, but we can't forget about just making our players individually better. And so that's something that we kind of focus on. And we've had some success at my other jobs and other stops, other schools with, if we kind of focus on the players continuing to get better individually, and then we kind of bring them back together as a team, then the guys stay fresher. And then also they're really excited about playing their best basketball when the games matter most, and that's the end of district and playoffs.
Yeah, and that's one thing, too, I think with basketball coaches that, even in football, as long as that season can be, or regardless of it, is that when you get to the deeper part of the season, it's about saving legs and that sort of thing. So I would suspect that you all are getting to this point of the season where maybe there's not as much grind on the court as there is just some walkthrough stuff, looking at film and that sort of thing, because everything that you did was probably back in September, October, and then the first part of November before everything started to, and then because when you get here, it's like, I don't need a team that's completely gassed by the time we hit the end of the season.
I agree totally. And in fact, our captains brought it to my attention about 2 weeks ago. They were like, Coach, our legs are tired. We're putting a lot of work in, and it was about that time where I was like, you're right. We're at that point now to where we're starting to scale back. So now our practices have been reduced a lot, down to about 45 minutes to an hour on the court, and that's it. And then we're going to the film room for 15 to 30 minutes sometimes, and get it done. So I feel like they're, but like Brian said, you have to have that balance with them and make sure they understand that the practice is shortened doesn't mean the intensity is shortened. Like there still has to be a level of efficiency and intensity in your segments and in your time to where you're maximizing that time and you're not just cutting practice short. So.
Sure. What about for you, Brian, in terms of just keeping your team fresh? You mentioned that a few moments ago,
right.
but the legs especially.
Yeah, so, we're still going to practice pretty hard. And then the guys, ours is a little bit different than Donnie's because our practices are first thing in the morning. And so it's almost like we get an extra 8 hours of rest. And so, we're still going to practice for, roughly an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. But then the guys can recover after school If they want to get extra shots up, they can get extra shots up. But, they have that kind of built-in recovery time. And then we have great training staff. And the guys, Towns will tell you, he loves going to the trainer. So they work on him. They work on his legs nonstop. And so, we have ice baths. We have some different recovery methods. But we really preach to our guys, like, you're not just an athlete for the 2 hours that we see you during the school day. You're an athlete 24 hours a day.
Right.
And so to be an athlete 24 hours a day, that means you get your rest. We're going to sleep 8 hours. You're going to get off your phone. You're going to not play on the game as much. And, you're going to take care of your body because we need your bodies to be their best for us to be able to compete at our best.
Okay, so let's talk about, for those who, whenever you all will tune in and listen to this podcast, the big game on Tuesday between Aledo and Brewer. And, this is why you two were hired, was to be in a position where you could have Aledo competing and playing in games like this against Brewer, where there's a lot at stake. Even though it's, for you all, it's the beginning of the second half, Donny, and for you, Brian, it's the end of the first half. But with something at stake, and I would imagine that, Tuesday night in Aledo's gym, it should be a pretty packed house, at least on your side. And that's something that, for as long as I've been around this school for many, many years, there hasn't been that kind of attention for Aledo basketball. But now there is. What's been the vibe around campus and from parents and maybe just from, people, just casual fans of just the reception to the program and maybe just the anticipation of a game like this against Brewer? We'll start with you on this, Brian.
Yeah, the first thing is I think our guys are excited. Like, so much of what we do is kind of like here, just, kind of straight line. And then sometimes you get to do these things that are kind of exciting.
Right.
So like our day-to-day and your day-to-day job may be here. But when you get to play in a big game or get to play in sports allow for those kind of peaks. And so I think our guys are excited. I'm excited to coach them tomorrow. And, from a community standpoint, we want people to watch us play, and after the game, they can just say, man, those guys gave it everything they had. Man, those guys play so hard. Man, these guys look like they're having fun playing together as a team. And so I think those are some of the things that, no matter the result, hopefully we kind of give that vibe to people that come watch the play, and it gives them something that they can be proud of with the product on the floor.
And how about for you, Donny?
I agree totally with that, and the fact that the excitement and the energy level, we want the fans to be excited. We've had a really good receptive audience right now, like a lot of the parents and a lot of the coaches from the other schools have been complimenting us and excited about things that are going on. So hopefully that translates to a crowd and an atmosphere where basketball is, appreciated and it's fun. And like Brian said, I think the biggest thing is, we don't want to get pigeonholed in these games like this and say, if you don't win, you're not a success. I mean, that's the one thing that I talked to our girls about that today. I said, look, we had them at their place. We led multiple times to the game. And so, like, whatever outcome happens tomorrow, just like we have to make sure we put our best foot forward so we know what kind of position we're in moving forward. Like, if we go out there tomorrow and give our best effort and we do everything in our power to win the game and the atmosphere is exciting and the kids are having fun and there's no attitudes or anything like that, and we give everything we got. I mean, we're going to win that game regardless, whether it's on the scoreboard, whether it's going to be within the culture of our team. It's just like I told them when we went to the Duncanville tournament. We weren't the favorite at the Duncanville tournament by no means, but we had probably the best game of our year at the Duncanville tournament, and we beat a team that beat us in the championship game in Burleson. So just seeing them compete at that level and be excited for each other, it's what you hope for. You hope you can get those moments. So we're really excited about it tomorrow. And then also, when you get to sit around and watch the boys play right after that, know that it's an impactful game for them too. And the community's all there to support both those programs. It's really exciting to be able to be in that position for sure. So I'm excited for our boys program. I'm excited for the girls to be in this position tomorrow night.
All right, so I want to talk about the first meeting with Brewer back on December 13th over in White Settlement, a game you said, where you all led on a couple of occasions but wound up losing 46-39. Do you kind of just flush that game away because it's been a month since you all played them last? Or how much do you break that down and say, what did we not do in this game and what do we need to do better against these guys, because you all have played several games since then?
We understand, first and foremost, we're a much better team than we were a month ago. We realize that. And we also, feel like Brewer's going to be improved. You would think that. And so, that's our thought process. But, we watched some things that they did in the film, but we also focus on the things that we needed to do better. And Thankfully, Coach Blackburn let us borrow some of his freshman players today, and so it's always good when we can scrimmage the boys. I think it helps us. It gives us a look that we can't replicate in other situations. So today we were able to work on a lot of the things that we plan on doing tomorrow against a quality opponent in practice. So I'm just really excited about seeing what that does for us. And then after practice today, we watched the film, and from that game, just some clips to show them, like, hey, tomorrow night, if this situation is presented, obviously is different because we schemed it differently for this. So just getting them to see what the new wrinkles are and how that affects tomorrow's game as opposed to the last time we played them. All
right, so Brian, for you with this, and I'll throw this out to both of you here as we start to wind this segment down, but as far as like just looking at this game against Brewer, but then both of you have the bye on Friday. Does that bye come at the right time because of the emotions that are, let's face it, there are going to be emotions that come into this game. So will that bye come at the right time, do you think? Or I guess depending on how it goes, you probably would want to get back on the court. Yeah. But does it kind of help from that standpoint when you're coming off a game that's going to have so much at stake with it?
Yeah, I would think normally it would. I guess the biggest difference and the thing that makes it a little bit unique is that we just came off of 2 snow days, and so we weren't really in a routine yet. And so I think for us, anytime that we can get more practices, that's going to help us. Right. And so I'm glad that, we're playing. I think it's unique that there's a bye, which means, as coaches, we can focus a little bit more on us. We don't have to prep for another team, and I think, for our guys, depending on how we handle it as a team, it's going to be a blessing and a benefit to our team. And so there's some things that we have planned that we'd like to do Wednesday and Thursday that we normally wouldn't do. And so I think if those things go over well, then I think that's really going to help our program. We're going to help our team. And then, honestly, it allows some of our other teams, our freshman team, our JV team, some of those guys to get some more attention because we do have freshman games on Saturday and JV games on Saturday. And so I think it's a benefit. We're going to make it work the best we can. It's really hard for me to think past tomorrow night. So,
of course, I got it. And then for you, Donny, how do you see it in terms of just having the bye on Friday?
We talked about it as a coaching staff today that this week is going to be a good chance for us to reset and kind of just look at the standings, look at the big school, small school, because a lot of that stuff changes the game now. In the past it was always 1 versus 4 seed, 2 versus 3. You kind of knew your route pretty easily. And now with the way things have been watered down and everything, it's like big school, small school. Okay, who's the big schools, who's the small schools, what's it going to look like? So this week will allow us to do a little bit of that. And then big for us, it comes at the right time because we got a junior high tournament we're hosting on Saturday. So and I've been putting a lot with our kids into that, and we're gonna bring a bunch of junior high teams here to the Aledo, and we're going to host 2 different tournaments, a 7th grade tournament and an 8th grade tournament. So I'm really excited about getting our young kids playing and hosting a tournament here in Aledo, to bring basketball again to Aledo with the young kids. So I think it does come at a good time for us, not only because of the emotions of the game, but also just a chance for us as coaches to reset and kind of look at what the rest of the district standings are going to look like and get us a chance to focus on, like Brian said, those younger kids and pouring some love into them on Saturday, letting all of our varsity and JV kids come and work the tournament and be around those junior high kids.
The only thing I'm going to ask is next Monday when we do this again is that I need to see both of you in good moods since that's going to be it's Tuesday night is the only game we're going to play. And then you guys have Friday off. But anyway, long way to go. Good luck to you guys on Tuesday night against Brewer, and we'll look forward to catching up with you all next week.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
That is Donny Ott and Brian Blackburn. Again, the Bearcats and the Lady Cats are in a position where they are battling for the district lead or the outright district lead in District 5-5A. They had big games against Brewer on Tuesday. The girls started at 6:30, and the boys started around 8 o'clock. Coming up on our second segment, we're going to be joined by Kaiden Clayborn and Towns Van Huysen. Stick around. The Coaches Show podcast comes up next. But first, this Aledo podcast mentioned by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Nye Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats. And by Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30, exit Las Vegas Trail, and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. Podcast with segment 2 coming up next. And we welcome you back to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. I'm Kevin Lonnquist, coming to you from Bourrées of New Orleans in Hudson Oaks. And we're about to start our second segment here. And just a couple of football notes to let you know about as far as the future of the Aledo Bearcats is concerned, or those who are moving on into the second level of college football. This is coming from the NCAA transfer portal, where quarterback Hoss Haney transferred from TCU to Oklahoma State, and defensive lineman Ansel Dimbu transferred from Washington State to TCU. So just wanted to catch you up on a couple of those Bearcats that are out in the college ranks and what they're doing now. Okay, so we're pleased to be joined by junior guard Kaiden Clayborn and junior post Towns Van Huysen. Guys, thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this season. 21-4 overall, 5-0 in District 5-5A. And I'll start with you, Towns, just in terms of just understanding and going through a season like this. What were your expectations for this season? New coach, new philosophy, new way of doing things. What were your expectations going into when this season started, and then how has that changed as we're 25 games into the season?
Obviously, just we had to buy into a new coach, and that was going to be difficult for some of our players just because they were so used to Coach Robinson from last year. Mm-hmm. And then we had to get used to new additions like Kaiden. But we're going to get those new additions each year, and I think as the program goes, we'll get more new additions. And obviously, we had that playoff win last year, which was monumental for the program.
Right.
And then just I think that really set in stone. And with obviously Jackson Todd, Owen Peterson, and Jack leaving last year, that was a big loss. But we have players that can fill those shoes quite well this year, as you can see. And I think that really spoke for the program. All
right, for you, Kaiden, just coming in here because you're like Coach Blackburn starting this year and just kind of learning the ropes, kind of learning how, because you came over from All Saints over in Fort Worth. So what was this transition like for you going from the private school scene to the 5A public school scene, different kind of basketball, more physical, probably a little bit faster. So what was the adjustment for you?
Coming in, really just playing my role, just like being new to the team, being a sponge and learning all I can from Coach Blackburn and all the seniors and guys that were here last year. But, yeah, just being a sponge and learning all I can and playing my role. And, yeah, just learning all I can.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, so, again, I'll go back to 21-4. Did you think this was possible this year, Towns?
I did think that this was possible with our personnel, just seeing our schedule and how it shaped up at the beginning of the season. I knew that the Abilene tournament, we had a pretty good showing last time we were there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we would have liked a better showing at the Bridgeport tournament, but I mean, we were coming off Christmas break. Well,
you're not going to win them all, and so, and then for you, Kaiden, just talking about it's one thing to just have that hope to win, but then to actually do it and be as successful as you guys have been. What's that been like to see that go from start of the season in November to here we are middle of January?
Well, I would say it's definitely no surprise there because from that first tournament I played with the guys to ABC, we were killing it. Like we were going crazy, and right then and there I saw that we had a good group of guys and everybody played their role really well. Mm-hmm. And right then and there I felt like we were going to be spectacular this season.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, Towns, as we're going to go back to like the district opener of last month against Saginaw Chisholm Trail. You're at the line with 2 seconds to go. You have to hit 2 free throws, at least one to get it tied, and then you hit 2. So I want to ask you a little bit about when you go through a big moment like that where you're at the line and there's a ton of thoughts going through your head, or at least you got to try and clear them out. Just take us through what you remember about that sequence there with 2 seconds to go and the game on the line.
I just remember Enrique getting the ball out of bounds. He passed it to me. I went up with it. I got fouled, and then I was at the line. I mean, obviously, I heard the noise from both sides. Brett Barclay told me I needed to hit both. And then I was like, okay. And then, I just took a deep breath. I hit the first one, which was the big one. I knew we'd be going to overtime. They said they didn't want to play in overtime. Joaquin and Brett told me that. And they said, you got to hit this one. And so just went through my routine and then hit it.
A little bit of friendly fire on that, right? With your teammates kind of dogging on you, right? To saying, hey, we don't feel like doing this, man. You better do this. It's not like that encouragement thing. It's kind of like we're kind of owning you on this a little bit.
Well, I know that they're a tough team. I was there for the game last season, being on the bench and in the locker room with the guys, obviously, after last season. Joaquin played a great game that game. Me and Brett had some great D-up chants on the bench, but it was just in the locker room, I knew that they didn't want to feel that feeling again from last season.
Sure. Kaiden, for you, when you see this team not only winning that game, but then, of course, last week at Granbury, you guys win 54-53, a game that you guys were leading, but, they obviously they were making it, and you guys have to make winning plays. And when coaches talk about making winning plays at the end of tight games, whether they finish one or two possessions, what does that mean to you?
Just really not losing hope. Like, we obviously – we hit a lot of obstacles during that game, and just not losing hope and just keeping good body language, keeping good energy on the bench. That's really what got us, like the good energy on the bench, just keeping our head up, not not getting down on ourselves when we make mistakes. So I feel like that was a really big thing for us that game, just not really dwelling on mistakes and being a sponge and learning how to fix them, just moving to the next play.
Yeah, and it seems like, when it comes to these types of games, there's not the physical aspect is what it is, but it's the mental aspect that really takes over in games like this. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe that you can finish. Now, this program 2 years ago, which Towns I'm sure you might have seen from afar, it lost like 6 or 7 district games by one possession, 2 or 3 points or 1 point or something like that. And I'm wondering, what was the feeling like just watching that from afar? Was it just that lack of confidence versus what you're seeing now, where you obviously have the confidence to hit the free throws against Chisholm Trail? You guys find a way to beat Granbury. What's changed in terms of just the mental fortitude of that?
Obviously being on the winning side of that's better than being on the losing. I remember being in the locker room with them after we lost to Brewer in a tournament at Aledo, and that was a tough one for the guys just because we hate Brewer, Brewer hates us, and that was at our place, and it was kind of a preview for the district. Just losing all those games we were in each one of those games, besides maybe there was one game at Brewer that we were never in the game, but
right.
Other than that, we could have won each of those games, and I think it was just a letdown, and you could see it just throughout the season, we kept on, just people getting on top of each other and being like, this is your fault, this is your fault.
Finger pointing, that sort of thing.
Yes, sir. And then, obviously it was hard for me because I felt like I could help the team, but I was in a cast for the majority of the season, and so there was nothing really that I could do about it at that point in time. And then they weren't going to really listen to a sophomore, and we just had people had to take on bigger roles like Kaiden Cunningham. He was a freshman last year, and
sure.
He took on a big role in those games, and he was thrown into some situations that he might not have thrived in, but it was definitely good for his development, and we're seeing it this year with him that he's developed a lot as a player and as a person.
Now, the one thing I've seen with this team is the balance on it. Now, what Joaquin Pacheco's doing is kind of off the charts, nearly 21 points a game. But then you look at yourself, you're averaging a little over 10, and then Enrique is averaging Enrique Pacheco, the brother, averaging 8.2, and then Kaiden, as you mentioned, averaging 7 points. So that balance there, what does that mean for this offense? And I'm going to have you speak to that as well, Kaiden, here in just a second. But what does that mean when you have that kind of balance there? Because teams are going to focus on Joaquin, but then you have these other guys that can score the ball like yourself. What does that mean for this offense?
Obviously Joaquin's a great player, and any college that he goes to is going to be blessed to have them on his team. He's a great locker room presence, and just him boosting us as a program is good. People are obviously going to put an emphasis on him, and then that opens up the lanes for Enrique, Kaiden, all of us to just get it open, and any of us can go off for a big game at any given time. And that there's people on our bench too that just can explode at any given time. And just as a team, I don't believe that there's one player that is on our team that couldn't go for a 20-point game. And I truly believe that. And obviously Joaquin does it nightly, which isn't normal, but I mean, it's coming to be normal this year. So it's great, but.
You know, and for you, Kaiden, when you watch this offense, I mean, you're averaging about 3.5 points, but you've had your games where you've stood out offensively. But when you watch this and you see how that could mean, what that could mean for you, what does this offense show you that how you could thrive in it as you continue to grow in this program?
It shows that I can just go in and play my role. Like you said, I'm not averaging much, but I am a defensive threat, and I can handle the ball well. Like in press, I can handle the ball, and crazy situations where we're being pressed and they're face guarding Joaquin, I can get open, I can take on that pressure, handling the ball. And yeah, like he said, we have so many secret weapons that like coming off the bench, like we have so many guys like Josiah Jenkins and Carter and me, us on the court together are a crazy defensive threat. So yeah, I would say that just being able to take on the pressure when our star players are getting face guarded, just being able to take on the pressure. Final question for you guys, and of course, I kind of delayed the lead here in terms of just playing Brewer. Obviously, for where you guys are at, tied for the district lead as we're recording this before Tuesday's game, 8 o'clock start. The atmosphere, the excitement, what's that been like since you guys took care of business against Azle on Saturday? What's that been like for you guys just getting ready for a game like this? Even though you've got more to play after this, you can't build the season around this. But there is that certain element, as Coach Blackburn was talking about, in terms of you get to pivot, you get to be a part of something exciting. You should have a great atmosphere on Tuesday. So what's it been like getting ready and to be in a game like this? We'll start with you on this, Towns.
It's great. Just the preparation that we've had to go through this week. I mean, Azle was really just a practice game, and just everybody got reps. This game, I'm sure that the rotation is probably going to be cut down a little bit just because it's a big game. Brewer's good. I mean, they're well coached. They've kept that same coaching staff for the whole time I've been here. I know that. Right. And I know that it's going to be a great game. Always a great atmosphere. Really hope that since we're having such a spectacular season that we get a lot more people out there than we have in the past. And I know they'll obviously pack their side, and just hopefully – both teams keep their calm this year and no issues post-game, and we'll take care of business.
All right. And then for you, Kaiden, this is why you're here. I mean, obviously you wanted to elevate your game by moving over here to Aledo, but to be a part of a game like this, what's that going to be like?
I say just cherish the moments. Like, you don't get many moments like this where crazy packed-out games. And like Coach has been saying all, like, throughout the preparation for this game, just playing our game. You know, guys tend to feel like they need to play different in big games like this and do things that they've never done before. And so I say just play our game, not let them speed us, not let the crowd get to us. Like, we make a few mistakes, they call a timeout. You know, their crowd's going hectic. I say just being calm, but also just have fun while you're playing the game. This is a serious game. This is a big game. We need to win. But just also enjoy it, just having fun while playing the game. Absolutely. Okay, now final question for you. I guess I lied here. So what was easier, this interview or getting a root canal? You don't have to answer that. Guys, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, and this Aledo Coaches Show podcast is brought to you by H5 Sports Barn. H5 Sports Barn and Knife Physio and Performance can help unlock your athletic potential and elevate your game like the Aledo Bearcats. With expert sports physical therapy, tailored recovery plans, and top-notch sports performance training, H5 Sports Barn, proud supporters of the Aledo Bearcats, and Hiley Mazda. Head to Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth today. Their new state-of-the-art facility is conveniently located just off of I-30. Exit Las Vegas Trail and experience top-notch service and hassle-free buying. Don't forget to ask about this month's special offers. Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. This podcast is done for this week. We will be back on back here next Monday when the Bearcats will be we'll actually be right at the same time as the national championship college football game, of course. That'll be between Ohio State and Notre Dame. But we will review how the Bearcats did against Brewer on both the boys and girls side with Coach Ott and Coach Blackburn. We'll also have respective players that will be joining us as well, reviewing that and looking ahead to the next coming week of competition. So for Brian Blackburn and for Donny Ott and for Towns Van Huysen and for Caden Clayborn, I'm Kevin Lonnquist. We thank you for joining us here for the Aledo Coaches Show podcast. We'll talk to you all next week. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Aledo Coaches Show podcast, brought to you by H5 Sports Barn in Aledo and Hiley Mazda of Fort Worth. With the voice of the Bearcats, Kevin Lonnquist. Please like and subscribe to this podcast and tell a friend. You're also welcome to join us every Monday night at 7 for Boo Rays of New Orleans and Hudson Oaks.